Hey, welcome back to CodyCrafted. Today we've got a new vehicle in the shop for you. This is a 1984 Chevrolet K5 Blazer. Classic American off-roader. We're real happy to have it. This is going to be a fun project. K5s and square bodies in particular are great because there's tons of parts available. So, our customers got the usual, going camping with the kiddos and out running around, having fun, just having something vintage in their collection. When he first got it, this thing was pretty much undrivable at anything faster than neighborhood speeds. The steering was super vague. Did our initial diagnosis and checkout on the car. Took care of a couple small finicky issues, nothing fancy, but the steering was a major issue. On this, he thought originally it was going to need a steering box, but the steering box is actually good. The problem is, number one, we had some steering linkage that had to be replaced before we could even test drive it. And secondly, the lower bearing on the steering column, when you turn the steering wheel, the shaft actually goes move and then starts turning. So that's a bad thing. Now, what we're going to do is actually replace it with some Jeep parts. They're not Jeep parts because General Motors made the steering columns for Jeeps back in this time. But if you go to your local parts supplier, they don't sell these parts for your application at your local auto parts store. What we found is that this kit, steering shaft repair kit from Rugged Ridge, Omix Ada, they make a ton of Jeep stuff. 1809.03. These are readily available. There's a Mopar reference number on here also. It is like a 4-piece kit here. So you've got a collar, you have a new bearing, which is the whole issue, the sleeve, and the little retainer clip. So according to all the information I can find, this fits this. Very nice. All right, while we're at it, a couple of new motor mounts. Nothing fancy, just the guys from the auto parts store. These are cheap. I think they're like $10. So they do a great job. We're not making a lot of power. This is just a crate 350. So a regular rubber motor mount will be great and drivable and comfortable for our customer. We're going to get those parts installed today, and then this vehicle is going to come back after he's had a chance to drive it for a little while. It's got a 6-inch suspension lift, but it rides really bad. Really bad. And also, he said it's about that far from fitting in his garage. So we're going to probably wind up going from a 6-inch down to a 4-inch kit that rides good. So look for that in a future episode. But for now, let's get to work. Okay, so quick recap. We are all finished up with this install. As you can see, no more sloppy joes. So the problem, here's how this came about. The bearing itself is funky. You guys can probably hear it. So it's got 2 ball bearings missing, which is not the worst I've ever seen or heard about. But the thing is, the bearing was falling out. The reason it was falling out is because this collar is broken. It's supposed to be 1 piece. I don't know if you can see that gap right there. Anyways, this thing got cracked at some point, and so how this goes together. So there's a little groove inside here, and there's a little edge. You can see where it's kind of shiny. This locks onto, goes in there, and that actually holds that in. This is the bearing retainer. So this goes inside the steering column, outer column. The inner shaft rides right here. Okay, this collar holds this whole rigmarole inside. So what it does is this slips over the top. Let me find it right. Actually, has like a keyway. There it goes. Goes on just like that, and then there is a little ring, or I'm sorry, a little snap ring with 3 prongs, 1, 2, 3, that hold this onto the outer shaft. You can see it here. All right, so what had happened was, what I believe is the steering box brace
So this frame repair, here you can see the welds. So this frame repair was done to shore up where the frame had cracked from the steering box. This shaft is supposed to slip inside here. This is extension. The reason it does is if you rear end somebody or you get into an accident, if this is fixed, it'll shove the steering column into your chest. That's a 60s thing. This is an 80s thing. Steering columns are still collapsible to this day. This particular steering column has 2 roll pins in it, and I don't know why. What I think happened was when they repaired the steering box, somebody pounded on this and it broke the plastic. So it's old and it's brittle, and you can tell it's kind of funky anyway, and this bearing was missing some of its shenanigans, so it needed to be fixed one way or the other. I was able to get it replaced. I am going to look into another steering shaft. The next time we see this truck, I'll probably put a new steering shaft in it, probably with universal joints because of the weight of the tires with the 35s on it. So anyways, I think that's the problem. I think that's where it all stemmed from. So, but now we got to get some motor mounts installed so our little 350 stays nestled into place, snug as a bug in a rug. Sure. Yeah, that not supposed to do that. Woo! So you can see how the rubber's all broke down, and what you would think is that rubber seals oil, but actually petroleum attacks natural rubber, and this is what it does. So that's why this motor mount is shot. Wow, that's so bad. But luckily, for $10, you too can have a new one. It just takes a hot freaking minute to put it in. Yeah, right. Because the top bolts are such a pain in the butt. Right here. Oh, there's a lift arm. There we go. Oh, hi.
Cody likes his equipment.
Love lift. Anyway, so because the top bolts are such a pain in the arse to get to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bolts and I'm going to slip them in there once I get it up, because I have to get it up in there first. I'm going to slip the bolts in, and then we're going to put the bottom in, and then we're going to go ahead and affix the lower. We won't tighten it all the way, but that'll hold everything in place. And then after we lower the truck back down, what I'll do is I'll have Rowan get up on top and hold these guys, and I'll snug the nuts from underneath.
That's just amazing out of context quotes from you. Thank you.
tried to buy that Firebird like 3 times. Steer. Well, hang on, let me turn around. It's vibration, it's just the... It's definitely something, it sounds like a drop line. U-joiny. Cody, what the hell? Oh, alright. Okay, that's bolt in the rear bumper filler. So the rattle's nothing to be concerned with. It's a speed clip that doesn't have a hardware through it. It's just rattling back there. We can do that. The bolt's even there, so we can fix that. There it goes. That's what that is. That's right there. So no big deal there. Okay.
Are you secure?
Go ahead. Hold up for a sec. Okay. All right, hold up. Stick it in neutral real quick. Actually, go ahead and just shut it off for a sec. The stick out on the tail shaft, like how long the drive shaft isn't, is definitely not great. No. No. I mean, it needs a longer drive shaft, but we're going to lower this truck, so that'll help. But I think it still needs a longer drive shaft.
We're not going to know until we have the proper height.
Correct. Also, for the way this is set up, with the pinion pointed straight at the transfer case, this really should have a double cardan on the on this end. So that's not the best. It's not the worst, but it's not the best. Okay. Yeah, I think that's the problem, is the drive shaft's too short for this lift. Because that tail shaft bushing is definitely sloppy. Which the tail shaft needs to come off to put the other gear for the speedometer. So I think it's okay for now. I mean, he's not going to drive it much. There's definitely a lot of angle on that upper U-joint and very little on the lower. So it's got that's what happens when you do 6 inches of lift on stuff, y'all. So one of the reasons we don't like doing 6 inches of lift. So okay, well,
This is why you leave things to a professional.
So if they're supposed to leave it with the professional, why did they leave it with us? Maybe we should rethink this.
All right, I'm good. See if you guys can hear this. Looking at it right now, there's really not much else to look at. It's kind of like we either need to build a drive shaft or we don't, I think. We might could put U-joints in it, but it's not really going to do any good on that part. So I think it's probably okay for the time being. It's definitely something we're going to want to address next time we see it, which shouldn't be very long. Yeah. All right.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.